Today, we will talk about a new topic called generics. Generics is something which you have already seen in your CPP. Okay, generics is like you are be able to work with parameterized types. You need not be bothered what is the data type. You will be able to work on it with a concept called generics. Why it is important? You can create classes, you can create interfaces, you can create methods in which the data type is specified as a parameter, not as a data type. Okay, you can either create a single class, or you can create an interface, or you can create a method and all that. I've given a small example over here. Okay, you can have either a branded chips like Lay's, or you can have even a chips without a brand name. Now, when you have a chips, but very general, no brand name, you say it is generic. But when you have a brand name like Lay's, or you have a brand name like whatever, like let's say Kannans, you say it has a data type or it has a brand name. Now, when we talk about data genericity or generics in Java, we will have to learn three things: generic methods, generic class, and generic constructors. Okay, generic methods, you will be declaring a method which can accept any parameter type. Now, this is how you write the syntax. Please have it down. This is how you write the syntax for a generic method. You will have this kind of a type parameter. This can be any letter. You can give any letter A, B, C, D, E, F, G, E, whatever. Now, to show that it is generics, you will have to have it in your angular brackets. You will have to have it in your angular brackets just before the return type. Now, in this particular thing, my return type is void. My return type is void. So just before my return type, I will have my type parameter. And then even in your parameter section, to declare which data type you are using, you can use your type parameter. Now the type parameter I have given here is E. I have given here is E. Okay, so this is how you have the syntax of a generic method. You will have it just before your return type, the type parameter, in an angular bracket. And if you're passing a parameter, you will have that particular thing in the bracket. Now imagine you are returning that particular parameter. You will even have E over here. Okay. Now let's see some general things about generics. Okay. Before we go into that, I hope you have the syntax of generic method. Adil, did you have the syntax?
Yes, ma'am.
The syntax alone is enough. Even have the syntax for a generic class. Okay, you will have the access specifier, class name, and then you will have the parameterized type even over here in your angular brackets for generic class. Generic constructor, it will follow the same style of a generic class. When we do programming, we can see that. Now, these are the things you do in your normal Java program. You plan a program, you write an algorithm, you then write the program, after which you use Javac, you compile the program, and then you execute the program. Now, you even know that you can have two types of errors. One is a compile time error, and the other is a runtime error. Now, these are the two types of errors which can come up in your program. Now, I can say that compile time errors, these are much more easier. These are much more easier for you to rectify. Okay, but these runtime errors, these are a bit more difficult. These are a bit more difficult. Now, what generics does is Generics, they help you to find out the maximum amount of errors at compile time itself. Okay? So why we do have generics? Or you can say the advantages of generics over normal programs. The advantages of generics over normal programs is generic. It provides something called compile type safety. Compile type safety. Okay. Type safety means you need not be worried about what is the type of your variable, because if you give it as a generic, you need not be bothered what is the type. Any type it can take. So you see that generics, it gives you a concept called type safety, or compile type safety. And it is even easy to handle the errors. It is easy to handle errors at compile time. It is easy to handle your errors at your compile time. You can even eliminate the concept of typecasting. Hope you remember what is typecasting. Like, you will have to convert, like, just in the earlier program when we saw about files. Adil, you remember we were converting byte to strings. You remember?
Yes.
Okay, because files, it is being read as bytes, and then you were converting it to string. You need not be bothered about all these things over here. It will eliminate something called typecasting. Okay, and another advantage is it will allow you, or it will, I can say, it will enforce you to follow the algorithmic method. You can be happy that you are able to follow the algorithmic method when you use typecasting. Okay, now when you use typecasting, or like, you might be wondering what is the use of typecasting. When you use typecasting, you can create one generic, let's say a method or a class or whatever. You can create one generic method and class, and you can use it for different data types. You can use it for different data types. Let's say I have something called sort. I have a method called sort. I will write a generic method for sort. Okay, so I'll name this, let's say, generic sort. Okay. Now, usually when you do a sorting algorithm, you can either sort integers or doubles or whatever, or you will have to go for something called a method overriding, all those kind of stuff. Okay, now when you write a generic sort, the same thing, you can sort integers, you can sort double, you can even sort your characters, you can even sort your strings. All that you will be able to do with a single function, with a single method or single function. You will be able to do all your sorting, because why? The concept is same. Okay, the concept of sorting is same, only your data types are different. And your different data types, you are taking care of it with the help of generics. With the help of a concept called generics, you are taking care of the different data types. Okay? Now, what we'll see is how you will write programs with generics. We'll first see about how you do a generic method. How you do a generic method. I'll say my program as generic method. We'll have a question. Print the contents of an array. Print the contents of an array using a generic method. Print the contents of an array using generic method. Program called a generic method. Now, first thing, I'm planning to do some arrays. So let's have an array. Okay, I'll have an array, an integer array, an integer array. Let's say int array equal to. I'll have a few values. I'll even have a double array. I'll even have a double. Okay, integer array will do. Okay. Now I do have an integer array, int array, which has some integer values 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I am planning to have a generic method. Why should I have a generic method? I should have a generic method because in case I even have a double array, let's say double array equal to 1.1, 2.2, 3.3, 4.4. Even if I have a double array, my method should print it. I just have a method called print array, and then I pass it int array. I'll have even another method called the same print array. In the same print array, I'll even have to do my double array. So I've got two same methods, print array. In one print array, I am passing my integer array, data type integer. At this particular, I am passing my double array. Now let me write my generic method. Let me write my generic method. I'm going to write my generic method. Okay. So I'll just first have all my access specifiers. Public static. What is the name of my method? I will have a print array. This is public static void. I'm not planning to return anything. The print over here itself. Now this is my method. This is my ordinary method. Now this particular ordinary method, I am going to make it a generic method. To make it a generic method, just before the return type, you should have the generics. Generics inside an angular bracket. You can have any generic. I'll just simply give E because in the syntax you saw E. I give E. You can give any alphabet over here, or you can have E, or you can have T1. Anything will do. So now I've declared a generic method. Now what are you passing over here? You are passing an int array over here. Okay. So I'll just say that I am passing something called array. What is the type of the parameter I am passing? One time I am passing int, and the next time what am I doing? I am passing double. Okay, one time I am passing int, and the next time I am passing double. So you cannot have a very specific thing where you can't write both. You can't write int comma double. Okay, so the best thing which I can write over here is I can write E. I can go generic. I can go generic because that E tells the generic. So because it is an array, I give E array, which means the array which I am passing, it is gonna be generic. At times it can take integer, at times it can take double. Okay, so this is how you do the declaration. Now I will write things over here. Okay, what am I going to write? I'm going to print each and every element of my array, each and every element. So I'll write an advanced loop over here. Element of the each and every element of the array. What should I do? I should do an SOP. I should do an SOP. System dot out dot println. System dot out dot println. Let's say the element. Okay. Now, what is the type of the element? You are not very sure. So you write E. Usually we write int or double or whatever over there. You are not very sure. So you write E. Is that fine? I'll save my program. Okay. I'll compile my program. I'll run my program. Java gen method. Okay. So I've displayed my integer. And I am even able to display my double. Is the output okay, Adil?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go back to my program. Okay. Let me have a few more things. Let me have a string. Let me have a character array. Character C array. C array is equal to okay A D L. Okay, the same generic method I can even use it for my character array. All I've got to write over here is Control C, Control V, C array. Okay, I can even have a one more string array. All data types will work. Like I'll have a string array. Let's say S array is equal to A, B. So call the same thing over here. Print array. Now I'm even able to display strings. Okay, so be it whichever data type, the same method you will be able to do for all data types. That is why you call it generic. So go back to my program.